wild man. How are you?
There are volunteers all throughout the state of Minnesota who are coming in for relief efforts. We all pitch in as a team anytime someone's in trouble, and we had volunteers from down south helping us out when we had the benzene spill.
Often spelled with an E, but that's the gal spelling. we center our program around acid rain.
Well, you do. So every
National Science Foundation supports the young scholars with the idea that programs can excite the students so that they will go into the sciences and mathematics. And there is a shortage in this country of people going into those, bright young students going into those areas.
Actually, can I head back? Thank you.
They say love, not money, makes the world go round. But try telling that to these people. The record $100 million Powerball jackpot has old and new lottery players lining up to buy a dream.
Just because the jackpot's so big, I just decided to take one ticket.
Here at the Hammond Spur in Superior, clerks have been swamped by would-be millionaires all week. In Wisconsin alone, ticket sales are expected to reach $3 million for tonight's drawing. Minnesota, $6 million.
Very busy. The clerks are really doing their best to work the little fingers as fast as they can. There's a lot of excitement.
That excitement has been building all month. When no one claimed Saturday night's $78 million prize, the Powerball jackpot was pushed to staggering new heights. If only one person wins it, he or she will become the biggest lottery winner in the U.S. But what to do with all that money?
Retire. What else?
I think I'd take us all on vacation. I think we'd all go somewhere.
All of us?
All of us, yeah. For 100 million, we can all go.
With chances of winning being slim to none, television ads are being run warning people not to risk their life savings for a 1 in 55 million shot at tonight's jackpot.
And I think the governor should intervene and say, listen, we're going to give support here, but we want priority. And we want that facility built. We want jobs coming back here in return. We gave you $270 million. You took it. You didn't spend it the way we thought you'd spend it. We want support. I think the state has to focus on it. This isn't on allegations of all sorts of corruption by all sorts of officials. Number of issues. Number one is whether I've been in private practice. I've been away from government politics for about 3 years. And some of my view here is new.
35 million children will be rushed to emergency rooms for treatment this year, but many of them won't get adequate care. The report says a significant number of children's lives could be saved if emergency medical systems were appropriately designed for kids. St. Louis County Commissioner Marilyn Kruger was a member of the 20-person national panel that authored a study analyzing pediatric emergency care across the nation. Today, she toured St. Luke's Regional Trauma Center in Duluth with the facility's medical director.
Kids are getting shortchanged, and I think it's nice to see it brought to the forefront.
And then, of course, coming up with the necessary resources to provide all of these facilities with equipment that is designed and geared for kids.
Among the report's recommendations was better pediatric training and more widespread access to equipment specifically created for treating children. The experts stressed that kids have different anatomy and physiology and must not continue to be treated as little adults. An example of the things the experts mentioned was the cervical collar. Many emergency rooms and first responders don't have access to the child-sized version of the collar, using instead the adult-sized cervical collar, which in some cases can even block off a child's airwaves.
You do need to treat them differently. You need different size equipment. You can use many of the same drugs, for instance, that you do in adults, but you have to be very careful with the dosages.
In fact, however, adult-sized equipment is all that's available in many hospital emergency rooms and ambulances across the country. The report recommended that Congress require hospital emergency rooms and first responders to have immediate access to children-sized equipment and appropriate training for pediatric emergency responders. In Duluth, Barbara Riles, News 6.
For those of you who brought the kids tonight. Right now, however, we start with a look. He's born and raised in Wisconsin. You've got to be careful. That big buffalo can turn at any time. You get 1,800 pounds of buffalo. Bring him around to the left and the right. Full circle. Now, boy, get that born and raised with it.
We like cowboys.
Despite this weekend's sunny and dry weather, the fields at the Hibbing Airport are wet, too wet to be used as parking lots for this weekend's Hibbing-Chisholm Air Show. Officials say except for some limited handicap spaces, no one will be allowed to park at the airport.
That we have lost the parking in some of the fields around the airport, which means we've lost approximately 15,000 parking spaces. So we had to scramble and find some alternate parking, and fortunately we were able to find some.
And this isn't the first time wet weather has caused this type of problem here in the Northland.
What we are so concerned about is, if you recall, a year or 2 years ago in Duluth, when all the Airstream trailers parked in a lot and it rained and they all sunk, we are concerned that that might happen out there, because even though the ground is going to be dry up above, it's going to be very, very wet underneath, and we could end up towing out a lot of vehicles.
Some last-minute brainstorming by officials paid off with some alternate parking lots. The old Super 1 parking lot will be open, as well as the St. Louis Fairgrounds, the Lincoln School parking lot, and the Memorial Building. From there, shuttle buses will be running to and from the air show, and while this may seem like an inconvenience, organizers see a bright side. Absent from this year's show may be the usual traffic jam, which comes with 30,000 people parking in one area.
This way, you're just going to be able to walk out, get on the bus, be driven back to Hibbing, and then leave from there. So I think in the long run, it's going to actually expedite the movement of traffic out in the airport area.
In Hibbing, Stephanie Guadian, News 6.
For 2 weeks this summer, these boys have exchanged the heat and the hazards of New York City for the rustic charm and safety of the ranch. And if they work hard and do their best, they'll be allowed to return this winter.
When it's time to play, time to work, it's time to do homework.
With its bunkhouse, barn, and acres of fields to explore, the boys at the ranch have the perfect setting to enjoy part of their summer. But it's not all fun and games. Most of the boys' time is spent inside this one-room schoolhouse with Mary Lee Enriquez, their teacher, mastering reading and word recognition.
Yeah, the whole word. Okay. Same thing here, same thing here.
This is a very intense educational facility. They do hour and a half to 2 hours of homework every night, 7 days a week. They got to pass a 10-page final with at least an 80. They're in school 8 hours a day, so it's very intense.
During its 2.5 years in operation, the ranch has developed quite a reputation back in New York, and rightfully so, despite the odds of failure created by an overloaded school system, broken homes, and poverty. Ranch kids are survivors.
They're leaders. They set the example for the schools. Grades have gone from 40s to 80s. We've had 5 kids make the honor roll.
If the boys demonstrate hard work and good grades in Sturgeon Lake and in New York City, they'll be allowed to complete 4 two-week terms at the ranch. A class ring awaits those who successfully complete this unique program, a reminder of their most important lesson.
Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself, because nobody's going to take care of you for you. I mean, you got to take care of yourself. Educationally, that's your key to be somebody.
An architect, astronaut, lawyer, and pilot, Ronald, Anthony, Manny, and Fernando have big dreams for their future. But thanks to the ranch, they believe those dreams will come true.
The Northland Red Cross chapter is rounding up local volunteers to help out the flood-ravaged areas. Only volunteers who've completed the Red Cross Disaster Training Program are being considered.
Right now we're asking for people that are in our system. It's called the DSHR system. Those people are trained in first aid, CPR, and disaster training. And we're calling them up and see if they're available for assignment in the Midwest, in Minnesota, southern Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, and probably Louisiana and Tennessee.
Red Cross Director Chuck Trishman says people who haven't completed the training can help in other ways.
After all the water recedes and all those other things that are going to go on down there, there's going to be a demand and request for other types of things. But right now we're asking for cash donations, and we're asking for bottled water to be dropped off.
In fact, Northlanders are already responding. The Archer Brothers racing team volunteered to take a truckload of water down to Des Moines. The first semi-load leaves tonight.
We're going to haul as much water as we can possibly take down to Des Moines, drinking water for the people. From my understanding, they're going to be out of water for up to a month, so any way we can help out, we want to.
Northlanders can help the flood relief effort by dropping off bottled water at a number of area locations in Duluth, Superior, and on the Iron Range. Dave Jench, News 6.
Everybody wants water. There's a gentleman in Minneapolis that wants to remain anonymous. He wants to buy 2 truckloads of water and donate it to the people in Des Moines. Target wants 12 truckloads. Gateway Lacrosse said that if we donated 2 truckloads, they would donate 4.
We were assured today, depending on how the bonds are financed, that if it does fail, it may not affect us directly. We were told also through our tax increment district that there isn't going to be any money taken from there.
heard a few examples this morning of either a rent-based or for the clothing a certain percentage. And he seems very knowledgeable on that, on what he can get away with.
I never thought it'd come to this. Being first grade and being at the climax of what it is today, now the school is being recognized nationally as a one-room schoolhouse. I think that's quite an achievement.
The mighty Mississippi normally carries tons of grain and other food cargo, but the river, too mighty of late, has been closed to shipping traffic from America's breadbasket. That leaves Lake Superior as a clear option for shipping from the northern U.S. and Midwestern Canada, although a boom has been slow to start.
Well, so far we've seen very small impact. There's only been 1 or 2 cargoes that have been diverted this direction. We don't know really for sure what lies in store for us.
Now, instead of looking forward to a boom, port officials are bracing for a bust. With millions of crop acres underwater, they may not have anything to ship this fall.
We're holding our breath. Crop conditions in our hinterland, so to speak, haven't fully been assessed, and no one knows really for sure what's going to happen this fall.
The Farmers' Home Administration estimates 20 to 40% of Minnesota's farmers could go out of business this year because of the floods, and thousands more across the U.S. and Canada may not have anything to harvest in the fall, leaving the Twin Port shipping industry high and dry. In Duluth, Derek Hines, News 6.
There's existing leases on some of this other property, but subject to those leases and yet not do some kind of... We have identified when we can logically make this move to Duluth, and it is just critical to us that we're in the first phase of that building at or very near the 1st of November.
The money being raised will be donated to 4 leukemia children in the city of Duluth who were asked what they wanted if they had a fairy godmother, and they've all will be granted their wish.
What size do you need? One more. I got a bad knee and he's got a bad hip. We wanted one to get the shirt and one to give a donation.
Well, there's no shirt today.
Oh, okay.
Yesterday at noon was the last one we could order.
When we arrived, the flames were coming out of the windows and out of the roof. And what the explosion was from, nobody knows.
All right.
Expansion mean to doctors like you that are already practicing here?
Well, it's going to give us a lot more space to work in. We're a bit crowded here. We're kind of like sardines in a can right now. And it's going to allow us to hopefully do a better job of recruiting physicians if we have more space than.
To Northwest Airlines, the machinists today were simply one large union, a union which could vote yes, keeping the company out of bankruptcy court, or no, forcing Northwest to file. But included in the district union are a half-dozen job categories with dozens of pay levels involving 24,000 men and women.
Are you telling me somehow I got a fighting chance in bankruptcy?
Each worker received the same call from union leaders last week to support the concession package. But today, members of this one union would each vote as individuals with their own unique needs. For Carol Taylor, that meant a definite yes.
Absolutely. If it means the future for Northwest, absolutely. We hope it goes through.
For Tom Messina, it was yes by default.
I think people want the job security, and it's better than the other option of bankruptcy.
Darrell Hampton was torn on which way to vote.
Well, I'm not sure yet. Still trying to make up my mind.
And Terry Opgard would cast an emphatic no.
Got my button on right here.
And how about the prospect, though, of bankruptcy?
Hey, just some things that go along with the deal.
Upstairs. We gotta go upstairs.
Individual feelings were so strong, IAM workers showed up en masse to vote at the Thunderbird Hotel. The ballot's secret, but union leaders said they sense the concession package will pass.
We feel optimistic that our members have gotten the information and they'll vote to protect their jobs and their future.
A yes vote would shift attention away from the machinists for the first time in months as the company and its workers wait for word on the flight attendants vote. A yes vote there would just about assure that Northwest will stay out of bankruptcy court, at least for the near future.
And what we're doing here is the real thing, only we're doing it with water. So when an incident happens of this nature, we'll know what we're doing and not have to learn on the job with gasoline.
Second vice chair. Miller has been nominated for second vice chair. Are there any other nominations who will participate? But the other question I have is we have a number of
We've had some good people come and screen before our endorsements committee. I think that there are some good endorsements that are coming out of this convention, and we hope to see the race heat up a little bit as the fall comes.
I'd say we're probably going to be working tomorrow and maybe Saturday, if it, trying to get it cleaned up. It depends on if we can get the culverts opened up or not. We've got more equipment coming in to try and get it cleaned up.
It's not a problem that couldn't have been transferred. And that's the contract that they terminated. Somewhat of a public relations problem. The legal part of
The Boys Fort, Fond du Lac, and the Grand Portage Band of Chippewa contend boundary water canoe area restrictions such as group size, permits, and travel methods don't apply to them under the 1854 treaty. They say by denying motorized access to certain lakes, their hunting and fishing rights are also being denied. They've taken their concerns to the U.S. Forest Service.
We've probably dealt with the two bands as special interest groups more than government entities, and they are government entities, and that's how we need to deal with them. We need to deal with those folks just like we deal with county boards and the state government.
The Chippewa have asked for a chance to be included as co-managers in the plan. The Forest Service met with band members in late June. Government attorneys are researching the band's requests.
If it turns out that Native Americans don't have to have permits to enter the boundary waters, then we're going to have to make some assumptions and decisions based on how many more people that might be in a particular travel zone, and do we need to adjust the permits that we're issuing for those travel zones to accommodate that kind of use. There's all kinds of alternatives.
Wilderness restrictions have visibly damaged Chippewa at the Lac LaCroix Reservation on the Canadian side of the border. Several hundred Lac LaCroix members saw their livelihood taken away after the 1978 Wilderness Bill cut off motorized guiding on the U.S. side. Band members' complaints and the band's deteriorating condition have become an embarrassment for both governments and proponents of wilderness.
Our heritage does not allow us to destroy anything in nature. And we feel at times that, well, we know that we're being punished for something that we didn't do.
Minnesota Chippewa pointed the Lac LaCroix damage as an example of how the Boundary Waters is being mismanaged. At this point, the Forest Service says one thing is clear. The BWCA restrictions apply to everyone, no exceptions. If both sides can't come to some agreement, they may find themselves sitting in court. In Duluth, Amy Rutledge, News 6.
Reason for the fact that there's misunderstanding. But basically, if we're correct in our analysis that this is a win-win situation, speak about usage, and I know that's been a commitment of the mayor. We've selected this site.
But the future may behold the wanting to attach a skywalk system from downtown Duluth down to that area. That's something that's been thrown around for a long, long time, and that's extremely expensive. And there's other things that may crop up too. So we may not have seen the real bottom line out there.
Experts say it may take more than 20 years to clean up after the Great Flood of 1993. The cresting waters have receded in many areas, leaving behind contaminated sandbags and miles of destruction. Signs warn residents enter at your own risk. Unsafe water signs hang on the doors of flooded homes. The struggle to recover from this disaster is just beginning for many. So what does this mean now for your brother and your family?
He lost it all. It was all underneath the water. It was.
For residents in this Kansas City mobile home park, life along the Missouri River is now just a memory.
They will not be allowed to return, and for most of the 350 families, there's nothing to return to.
Oh, it's terrible. I mean, to go in and see your stuff scattered everywhere and flipped upside down and a total mess in there. I mean, it's terrible inside.
It was stories like these that prompted a group of Northland volunteers to take action. I traveled with the group to the Midwest, where our time was spent helping members of the Kansas City Salvation Army. Officials say there is still plenty of work to be done, and they worry the numbers of volunteers will shrink with the receding floodwaters.
Many of them have to clean up their places. They need help with cleaning up. We need help with our disaster center, need help with all kinds of things that are going to be assisting these people. It's going to go on for months.
The memory of the flood will undoubtedly last forever for Midwest residents, and for the volunteers, their time spent helping those along the Missouri and Mississippi rivers may also be unforgettable. In Kansas City, Missouri, Stephanie Guadian, News 6.
I believe we've got the most spectacular midway that we've had in the 12 years that I've been here. All the rides are new or renovated or reconditioned, and it's really a great midway.
Most birthday parties don't draw a crowd like this, but when the party is for the whole town shows up. Today, residents of Hibbing celebrated the 100th birthday of their hometown. The event is part of the centennial celebration that's been going on all summer long.
And there's people of all ages, and that's always nice to see because it is everybody's birthday. We have the two oldest citizens of Hibbing here, and I think we have some of the very youngest citizens of Hibbing here also.
Residents met outside Hibbing City Hall for a concert by the city band and to enjoy a piece of the 100-foot centennial birthday cake. As some of the younger folks enjoyed the afternoon, some longtime residents took time to reflect on the city's history and what makes Hibbing special.
The friendliness and the wonderful help in case of illness or death, and the many other things that people, that's what they do, just help each other.
The day also included a reenactment of the signing of the charter that created the town 100 years ago. And although Hibbing's been going strong for its first century, people attending the festivities today have no doubt that the best years are still ahead. In Hibbing, Derek Hines, News 6.
The Hicks building across the alley from Hardee's is one of the older buildings in Canal Park. It's pretty run down right now with discolored brick and boarded up windows, but the city has big hopes for this building. Planners feel the area needs a convenience store and gas station, and building owner Richard Hicks of Hicks Construction has reportedly begun talking with the city about a sale. If these plans work out, it'll be just one more step in a comprehensive concept to turn the entire Canal Park area into a mecca for tourists and residents alike. And so far, the plan is working pretty well.
It's been a pretty good year in general. Lots more people in the area, so that more people in the door tends to help.
The Bluestone Company is not alone in enjoying the increased traffic in Canal Park. Records show overall business is up 40% for the first 5 months of this year, and that's over a 42% increase in sales in that area last year.
It's definitely getting more and more known to people throughout the Midwest, the Canal Park area, and certainly Duluthians. A lot of Duluthians use this area, and that's fun to see.
Part of it is the new businesses in Canal Park, but merchants say it's also because there are just more things to do there now, so more people come.
With the increase in more retail businesses, hotels moving in, it's going to concentrate more and more of the retail business into this area, which is good for us.
Discussions continue for another hotel in the area. Marriott is talking with owners of the A.W. Kettle Company about buying that property. Meanwhile, the city continues its amenities enhancement program, creating things like the new fish fountain. They feel it all helps to draw people to the area, and they point out that the amenities are being paid for by the tourist tax. In Canal Park, Barbara Riles, News 6.
Move into the city. They're in the surrounding area, and we've started to receive some reports of bears getting into the garbage and into people's yards and creating some problems throughout the city.
On most days, you'll find Duluth Police Officer Steve Rowland patrolling the streets of downtown Duluth. But today, you'll find him at a picnic in Chambers Grove Park, serving up hot dogs and hamburgers to those he usually serves to protect.
I think it's great PR for the police department, and these people are really going to enjoy it. A lot of these people here I know from walking First Street, so it's nice to see them out here. It's a beautiful day for it. So.
A group of 75 people came by bus for the big event, some of them homeless, some low income. But for young and old alike, it's a chance to get away from the city and enjoy a beautiful day in the sun.
Most of them don't even have transportation. And so it gives them an opportunity. Some of these kids, this is one of the big events of their summer, is when they come to these picnics here at the Mission.
First time I've been out and called the country for a while. Feels good.
The picnic is an annual event for the Union Gospel Mission, but it's the first time Duluth Police have sponsored it. Officers say it's part of the department's overall philosophy of establishing closer ties with the community.
There are a lot of people that live in the downtown area that maybe in the past haven't been able to approach the police, and maybe by getting to know some of the policemen here today will feel much freer in coming to us with their problems.
Want another one? Okay. I think you're toying with me.
Officers say it's also a chance to break down some old stereotypes and make some new friends. In Fond du Lac, Amy Rutledge, News 6.
There's been so many changes in the last 20 years that as soon as they get used to a change and they've built their business up, something else changes and it affects their business again.
Jeff is considered by New York critics the most important figure in all of cabaret in New York. Everyone says he's the greatest thing to happen in the history of cabaret, and we are fortunate to bring him to Duluth into the North Shore Theater.
If this is all one in the world, how much of it is that? Okay, round number 2. Straight. Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
There are a number of concerns for the St. Louis River and its water quality, and this program is aimed at teaching kids about that and giving them an opportunity to find out ways that they can help to solve some of those problems.
Why do you think it's called Seven Beavers Lake?
can be answered. Even if it's the best project in the world, the process is not good, and it's not good for the community to feel like something like this is being imposed upon them without the questions being answered.
In terms of budget outlay, about 4 miles. 360 square miles, basically.
My impression is that we have 3 very well qualified administrators, any one of which would, I think, fill the bill here in St. Louis County.
It's a good thing for the environment, and it's a good thing for us. It's the reason we're here. We wouldn't have been here without that regulation, I don't believe. Detroit Edison chose to go this route in '76 and was a leader in the industry.
That's good, Tom.
You scared?
That's him back down right there. No, that's Springbrook.
You made the news, kid. Huh? I can't see it.
At one time he was kind of, but he didn't know.
No. Taking under the balloon. I do think that we're beginning to find other ways to fight. I think particularly around the North American Free Trade Agreement. Labor is not fighting this one by itself. We're fighting it in conjunction with environmental groups, in conjunction with farmer groups, in conjunction with a lot of people who are very concerned about the preemption of states' rights and states' laws as a result of NAFTA. So while by ourselves we may not be as strong, we're learning much smarter and more political ways to fight these battles.
He's talking to you, or she's talking to you.
Community personnel, they're the taxpayer, anybody who might be interested in children and the best education for those children.
Gonna run board meeting.
I think parameters have to be set, and each principal has to do as he sees fit. And I think you need their community involvement, and that's not, PTA is a good vehicle to use because it is a recognized organization that has advocated for children since 1897. But you also need the community personnel. They're the taxpayer, anybody who might be interested in children and the best education for those children.
Value.
So this year, when truth and taxation notices go out, it's going to be very confusing to the taxpayers who receive them, and it's going to be very difficult for us to actually even explain the contents of those notices to the taxpayers.
One thing is clear, the majority of Duluth homeowners will be paying higher taxes next year. The increase is due to an across-the-board 10% tax hike, courtesy of the state of Minnesota.
They determined that we were under the minimum required 90% level of assessment, and therefore we got the 10% state-ordered increase, which we as a jurisdiction do not have the right to appeal.
And if you think this sounds familiar, you're right. This is the 4th year the city of Duluth has had to absorb an across-the-board increase. And some say enough is enough. State Senator Sam Solon is launching a challenge to the state's findings. Solon says thousands of local residents will have to pay more than their share.
We find that there are a lot of inaccuracies and thousands of Duluth homes are being valued a lot more than they really are.
Solon questions why Duluth was hit hard with the increase while a number of other cities in similar situations were untouched. He also complains the Duluth study was too small and unbalanced. Solon cites other discrepancies as well. The state study shows 49% of Duluth homes are valued over $40,000. The Duluth assessor says that figure is too high. And while the means are being questioned, the end is already set in stone for the city of Duluth. There is no appeals process. In Duluth, Stephanie Guadian, News 6.
Signal on. I mean, why does it always? Well, it's a hassle. You got here, so it corrects for the offset out to the target. So when we want to record everything on the hard disk, we'll probably only yellow. Oh, yellow is easy to see out there in the water. In case Challenger, some of the Challenger. Yeah, okay, I was personally involved in it. You were? Yeah. What a remarkable feat to recover as much as was recovered. I just.
I think we were very effective this summer as the state budget was put together in making it very clear to the governor's office and to both houses and both parties within the legislature that we actually did have some information that would be of benefit to them as they crafted the state budget. And there were some significant changes that ended up not being punitive to Wisconsin cities as a result of our efforts.